Okay, I saw this and it made me think, and then I kind of got upset, and I'm on her side, let's say.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me show you another bizarre comment. This is from a man called Patrick Christie's. He calls himself a journalist, and this is what he said.
Congratulate India on landing on the dark side of the moon. I would also like to now invite India to return the £2.3 billion foreign aid money that we sent them between 2016 and 2021. We're also, we should not be giving money to countries with a space programme. As a rule, if you can afford to fire a rocket at the dark side of the moon...
Now, India has landed on the moon, and British influencers say, return our aid money. If you're going down that road, let's start with reparations. Let's start with the colonial loot. Return that money first. And we have the bill. Some $45 trillion. That's what Britain looted from India between 1765 and 1938. And this is just an estimate. The actual figure could be much higher. But even this 45 trillion is about 15 times Britain's GDP.
Yeah. So I agree. You know, we often hear as Americans all the things that we're doing that is wrong.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of it has some merits. Maybe we shouldn't have done this, or maybe we shouldn't have done that. Hindsight is great, you know, for acting like you're perfect.
Right.
But if we look at throughout history of what Great Britain has done to the world, I agree with her. You know, there are tons of moments where Great Britain has gone to different areas and not even with, like, you know, she was talking about resources and stuff, but stolen artifacts. Now, they say that they're preserving them in their world-renowned museum, but countries that they come from are saying that they stole them, and a lot of them are asking for them back.
Right.
And Britain has basically said, well, we take care of them better than you. But the thing is like, if I were to go to your house, steal a bunch of your stuff, and then you ask for it back, and I said, I'm going to take better care of them than you. Doesn't that kind of piss you off?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. And you have every right to demand those things back.
Yeah.
So,
and, you know, then let's talk about the resources.
yeah.
That was a lot of the reasons why they so-called colonized certain areas. I mean, they basically just showed up. There was a bunch of people there, and they were like, this is ours now.
Yeah.
And then they just did whatever they wanted, and they just took a bunch of resources.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She definitely has a point, you know, and that's something that can easily be argued. I don't know how we would come back to defend that.
I would like to say first, or maybe fifth, or whatever point this is, congratulations to India on landing on the moon.
Oh, yeah.
That is not an easy thing to do, and they did it, and congrats.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But there's been so many times where Britain has just acted like the world was their own place to do whatever they wanted to.
Yeah.
I understand saying that as an American, what that means.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, when I hear that from a British person, I just think glass houses.
Right.
Maybe you should put the stones down. No one really wants us to bring up our past now, do we?
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Wow.
I mean, there were parts of what was it in Greece? The Parthenon, the marble carvings, where British, I guess, archaeologists went in there and literally just cut pieces of it out and took it back to the British Museum. Now, in the British Museum, they're displayed as like, hey, you know, this is what happened in ancient Greece. But since they removed them in such a, you know, I would say vandalous fashion. I mean, if that's a word, if we can call that a word.
Yeah.
Now, the pieces that are left in Greece are on display with huge pieces of plaster put in place to secure the parts that the British have removed. And they clearly have labeled, we know where these parts are. They're just not giving them back.
Oh, yeah.
And I just found the whole thing very, ridiculous and at times hypocritical.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? That was like a low blow. Because I mean, obviously this is a great feat. They've come a long way to be able to do this, you know. Yeah, that was just very petty, you know.
Yeah, and on top of that, sometimes the British Museum will take exhibits on tour, which, hey, I agree with. I mean, our museums here do that because the whole point of a museum is to learn. And if you can take them to other cities, you're going to allow more people to be able to view and learn from them. And I always think learning is a good thing.
Yeah.
But in 2017, the British Museum took what they call their brand new exhibit of Mumbai to India and basically carted it around and was like, you know, this is your history.
Oh, wow.
And I just thought, if I was India, I would be like,
Yeah.
hey, now that you brought it to our country,
Yeah, you
guess
just-
where it's not going?
Yeah, exactly.
Back to your
Yeah,
country.
you can just leave that there.
I mean, if India wanted to loan it out themselves, fine.
Yeah.
It would be like if you asked me to borrow something and I was like, sure, we're friends.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I can't keep it forever.
yeah, it's not like if I took something of yours and then I loaned it to the neighbor and you're like, hey, can I have that back? And I'm like, I'm loaning it out now. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, how ridiculous does
Yeah.
that sound?
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw that short and I just thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they're going to complain about a couple $1 billion. Now I know that $1 billion is a lot of money, but for hundreds of years, you just took whatever you wanted.
Yep.
I mean, you should be happy that that country is doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be much worse the way that you just took whatever you wanted.
Right.